Alright, this is what we're going with. Hi Rachel, I hope this is a good layout. You are on my freshly made bed. Oh god, okay, I'm sorry, that was horrible. But look, I got my bed, got the panda, and right here I have got 20 questions to ask when writing a book review. So I'm going to read these. I'm going to put you right here. So sit back and relax and enjoy the review. What you think? I'm going to be talking to her. I hope you can see her. I need water. Okay. So the book, Raghav is like sleep. Look at this. Look at this guy. Bro's asleep over there. Of course, the sprinklers are going off right as I do this. Hold on, I'm gonna drink some water. Okay. After this, I'm gonna brush my teeth and just like go to bed. This is like almost 1 in the morning. Oh my god, school is crazy. All right, you're going right back here. Still recording? All right, right there. Let me get in my bed. Oh, let me get the computer. Oh yeah. Okay. So, what book did we read? We read a book called The Wizard of Earthsea. What was turning over? Let me give you some facts. Okay, so Wizard of Earthsea. It's written by Ursula Le Guin. It is from, I'm trying to see when it was written. It's a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads. 85% like this book. It's from 1968. So it's before they went to the moon, I think. Yeah, it was technically a year before we landed on the moon. It is a fantasy novel about a boy who becomes a wizard and goes on many quests, and it's largely a book, I'd say, about self-discovery along with wizardry rather than a wizardry book with themes involved in it. Like, you know, it felt like if you took the wizarding stuff out, it's just a very solid story about like mental stuff. I'll get into that, but first I gotta read the questions. Let's read the questions. Oh, let me itch. I'm itching. Hold on. What audience am I writing for? Writing for my Rachel. What? Okay. What audience is the author writing for? I don't really want to say this is a kid's book because it's definitely much more in depth than that. But something that I really liked about this book was that it was very, I don't want to say simplistic, but it was like simplistic in tone and like language at times, to the point that it wasn't like some sci-fi books, like half the book is just them being like, I turned on the super capacitor and blew up the thing as I, you know what I mean, like words like that, to try and build the atmosphere. But this was very like, literally it's about a boy. I want to tell you more as I read the questions instead of just saying it and then answering the questions I already answered. But it's literally just about like I think 100 islands in a sea, and that's all these people know of the world. They think the world might be flat. They don't know because they've never ventured farther than their islands, and it's like multiple communities, and there's like very minimal government, but it's more just like per island there's like a government, if anything. So it was very easy to follow in some ways, and it was good. It felt good to get your mind off of, because you didn't have to even comprehend like other governments and other politics and other stuff. It's just like a little dude on a quest, and that was pretty cool. So I would say the author's still writing for like young adult to adult, I guess, though. What genres, subgenres does this fit into? I mean, like I said, fantasy. Um, the setting is very like, I don't want to say medieval, but like if I had to say something, it's like definitely feels like Earth, like hundreds of years ago, kind of around medieval time. So, I don't think it's really a genre. I guess that's more just the setting, but yeah, fantasy is definitely the genre. Was I confused at any point while reading? Um, yes and no, and I only say that because the main antagonist is really cool because it's not like a simple like oh start finish kind of book. Like the whole first third of the book is the main character. His name is Ged. The whole first third of it is him from a young boy being found by a wizard and taken to be learn to be a wizard himself, to the point where he does a bad thing where he, out of pride and wish for glory and stuff, kind of basically says to some of his other wizard and training friends like, hey, I'm gonna try and raise the spirit from the dead, because they essentially were just like, you couldn't do that if you even wanted to. And he's like, oh, Ben, watch this. And he tries, and it doesn't go right, and I think it ends up killing a wizard in the process of him messing up the spell. But also there's this shadow that was released, and that's the main antagonist for the rest of the book. Is the whole time he's being hunted down more or less in the background by the shadow that slowly throughout the rest of the book gets closer and closer, metaphorically and physically. And the author's purposely vague about what the shadow is and never really confirms what it is, but it's essentially implied to be like his wrongdoings and his fears and his concerns and stuff like that, like personified into a like being, like a shadow being. And it's also kind of implied that it does have to do with magic, like it's not just in his head, but it doesn't really hurt anyone or interact with people besides Ged. So that it's a little confusing as to what the shadow is at times, but I think that's the point. And I think she did a good job in terms of keeping it vague, as vague as it needed to be, while still getting the point across, you know? Did I care about the characters? Yes. The main few characters, so there's Ged. He's the main character. He is the wizard in training, and by the end of it is one of the most powerful wizards in the islands. He is prideful and very clearly young, and a little misguided in some ways, and arrogant. And the story does a great job of giving him character development type moments and developing him into a man that is very aware of his power and very cautious with it, and bounces back and forth throughout the story between a lot of different I don't want to say ideals, but like, you know, like he starts off willy-nilly using his magic for fun, for whatever he can, and that shifts to the shadow event happening, so he completely draws back, barely uses magic for like a year or two, doesn't learn as quickly, like is very reserved, and even for a while he still doesn't use it nearly as much, but all the while he's very powerful, and it was pretty cool to see him transform by the end into a mixture of him finding his childhood self again, but also being an adult. It was pretty cool. Vetch is a character that is there for probably like a third or maybe like half the book. It's basically one of his closest wizarding friends, and he, the Le Guin, Ursula K. Le Guin does a good job of just making characters their own characters. You know, like there's no repetitivity. I don't know if that's even a word. Um, Between people, like they all have their own personalities and own way of talking. Um, he's just a good, grounded wizarding character that's helpful at Ged's side. Um, and I think the other main one that's a consistent key part is his Ged's master that finds him and gives him his name and whatnot. Um, oh God, I forget his name, but he is a key character and a driving force. He's the one that brought him into the wizarding job, I guess, and taught him and sent him to the island to learn, and then taught him also how to confront the shadow and stuff like that. Like he is a pretty good character that also isn't all-knowing. He's not like Gandalf or like Dumbledore. He's like he's kind of like an older Harry Potter in the sense that like he probably was once the main character of his own story, and now he's at a point where he's trying to get Ged to be a wizard and do certain things, and he realizes, oh, this kid is way more powerful than me, and there's some really cool dynamics between that. There's definitely more little characters, but those are the main three, I think. Did it have a compelling plot? I've already said most of it, but I liked it. I think there were definitely times where it wasn't just a linear, like, we need to do this, and we're gonna do all, like, it wasn't like, the first thing I think it was Hunger Games, where like it's like, oh, we're in this environment, we need to take down this person, we need to do the games, and they do it and the movie ends. Like, it's not like that. It's just it's like a coming of age, but also just a life story sort of thing. So like there's times where there's a lot happening, and other times where he's literally just on a boat. So it was compelling for me, but at the same time it wasn't like action packed or anything like that. But I would still say it's compelling if you're a thought provoking reader. Hopefully you are, right? Was the dialogue believable? I would say so, but it's also very old timey and literally written in the 60s. So like it's a mix of 60s speak and what the author thought this magical world speak would be like. So I would say it feels believable. Yeah, I would say it definitely fits. At least it's consistent, you know? Yeah. Were the events believable? At its core, a book is a story. If the story fails to be credible, the book cannot be assumed to be a book. I don't know how to take that question. Are the events believable? I mean, he fights dragons and shit, so I don't really know. I don't think that's a great question for this specific thing. This is probably for nonfiction, but whatever. Did any quotes strike me? Probably. I'm not gonna lie, I listened to the audiobook of this. There was this one guy on YouTube who did a fantastic job. He had background music and like noises, like forest noises or shit like that, like to add to the atmosphere. And he read it very well. He gave them slightly different voices, and just his tone was really nice. So I credit a lot of how I took the story to him. And thus I didn't read it with my eyes, so I didn't digest the quotes in the same way as I would if I read it directly. So I definitely still got the information. I feel like I had a better experience reading it, but at the same time I didn't read it, you know? So I don't really have quotes immediately in my head that I'm like, oh yeah, that was good. I don't know. All I remember is at the very end, he beats the shadow, in quotes. and he says like, "I'm whole again." He says like there's a certain wording to it that's pretty cool. When you know the implication is like he's accepted his faults, and past failures to an extent. That's pretty cool. Was there any information I thought to be inaccurate? Actually, that wizarding spell was not the right one. No, 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 no. Yeah, I don't. These are not the greatest questions for this. I don't think the information was inaccurate. There was a map of the whole islands. The author drew up like a map, of the scenery. That was pretty cool. That's funny because the second question is, are the illustrations engaging? Basically no illustrations except for mental illustrations. Oh, the detail. Again, I credit that to the audiobook reader on YouTube. Did a great job of helping visualize that through the music and the tone. Very nice. And the map drawings and whatnot. Solid too. Is there any questionable, profane, or graphic content? I don't think there was too much. I don't think there was really any sexual things. I don't think there was really any, like there's maybe one or two things, but like Ged, I think so. One thing to note is that this is like the first book, I think, in there's at least one sequel, if not more, and some of the ending was written in a way that you could tell it was just setting up the next book. And I think one of the things they were trying to do potentially was set up Vetch's sister with Ged, maybe. And I only say that because at the end of the novel they really emphasize how, well, not emphasize, but they definitely drop a couple times how Ged has never, not necessarily been with a woman like in just a sex way, but like had a female companion, because he basically was an only child in a village, and then at like 12 or something he got taken by the wizard and then went with all the other wizarding boys and stuff that weren't really, girls or witches. Like, it's a different thing. So like he never really has had experience with a woman like that. So as he got to know her, like I think there was supposed to be like a connection of some sorts there. So I think if anything that would come with the second book, and there was not really much of that, but I think that makes sense because of the setting. I like that. What is the author's voice like? Definitely not comedic or conversational or professional or aloof, whatever. It's not really a first person spoken sort of thing. Again, surprise, audiobook reader definitely helped convey her voice, Le Guin's, the author's voice, in a particular way that I liked. She herself in her writing, it's literally like 1 a.m, so I'm actually like having a hard time thinking about exactly like the style she writes, but it's very it's nice. It's kind of like the book you were just saying, you and Kenzie and Bella are reading, how it's like too descriptive. It's like a good in between of like kind of mentioning little details but never really holding on it for too long. But there is a lot of stuff about his emotions and his inner turmoil and stuff like that. It's very aback. Like, it's not very like first person of the Ged and the character. There's like dialogue scenes, but it's definitely like said almost like a narrator describing Ged's perspective. I don't know. But she did a good job with it. What is the author's purpose? Like I said, I think it was definitely, and is the author's purpose accomplished? Those are two questions. I think it's definitely less of a wizarding story and more of a self-discovery story with a wizarding twist intertwined throughout it. I think she uses that as a gateway to tell this story, because like I was saying, you very well could like literally just make it about today and have, instead of like wizard, it's like going to college or something, and the shadow being a mental thing, literally keeping that the same. Um, it has the exact same message and tone, except for obviously now, to escape this, instead of escaping your problems by like doing homework or working out, he's escaping his problems by literally fleeing on a boat and encountering dragons to try and learn the truth of this shadowy being, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Um, I think they accomplished it well. It definitely taught a story or like a lesson of some sort, but at the same time, it's not like a tall tale where it literally like says at the end like the moral of the story is don't do this, don't run away from your fears. Like it's just like so ingrained in the way the story's written. Like I feel like you just know that at the end, I guess. I don't know. What are the author's credentials? Shut up, bro. Is there an index or bibliography? Lick my something. What other books are similar to this one? I mean, probably the damn sequel. What do you think? Yeah, I mean, a lot of fantasy books. I don't know. I feel like I've read a book like this before, but at the same time, I don't know if I haven't. I think that's why it was so refreshing. Um, fucking Matt's Treehouse. Boom. I don't know. What did I learn while reading? Again, that same message of self-discovery, and don't let your fears and doubts and previous mistakes rule you, but at the same time, don't just run from them. You have to embrace them. It's a part of life. It's part of being human. You can't let that define you. And at the same time, geez, I'm just trying to yap right now. I don't even know. Like, yeah, it's a good way to, like I said, I don't think it's a kid's book, but for young adults, it's definitely a good way to deliver that message through the veil of wizardry. Um, what other, who would I recommend this book to? Honestly, I think it would be cool for you to read if you wanted to, but at the same time, totally get if it's not up your alley, because there's literally no romance, no anything. It's just very much, you know what I mean? Like it felt like, it was funny. The Minecraft windows I have right there, and the ones I did out there, I literally did those while I was listening to the book because I needed to pay attention enough to it to know what was happening. But it very much felt like a background book. It wasn't something I was going to sit down and read 100% just because of the type of storytelling I felt. So you could find the audiobook if you're doing something and you want to listen to it, but if you're bored, you can just totally stop. I've zoned out listening to it before. Yeah. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, honestly, I would give it at least a 4 out of 5, in my opinion. I think Goodreads is pretty solid on there. The ending was a tiny bit rushed feeling, and I think that was just because there was a second one that she knew she was writing, so like certain things were left unanswered purposely. And not that everything has to be answered, but the book spent so long not following a linear path for the ending to arrive and the book to immediately end too. You know what I mean? Like I was saying, it didn't feel like, oh, there's one thing we're working towards, but then like once a fairly large, it sounds stupid because of course the book has to end a certain way, but like the pacing was just a tiny bit weird at the end, because they literally end it and then there's technically an epilogue, and in the epilogue, in like 2 pages, it literally says, oh yeah, by the way, Ged became like the strongest wizard and leader of all the islands and yada yada, and like here's just some like facts about what happened, and it's like, why didn't we just see this happen, I guess. But I think she just tried to get that over with, so in the second book she could start from that point in the timeline of these characters, like, oh, he's been the greatest wizard for a while now. So I don't know. Either way, I did like it. I thought it had some good themes. I actually, tomorrow, I'm recording this technically Tuesday morning at 1 in the morning, Monday night, and on Tuesday, you're probably seeing this Tuesday or Wednesday at the earliest. I'm drafting an essay I have to write for this, so this was actually pretty helpful. I kind of forgot about that. Um, yeah, I think I think it was pretty good. And this video is this video is 25 minutes long. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna end it here. Let me know if there's other book recommendations you have. Let me know if there's like, you know, any other video ideas that you want to hear from me, or just, anything in general. Leave in the comments down below. Hit the like and bell notifications. Yeah, no, just let me know. I love you so much, Rachel. I hope this was entertaining to some degree. This is honestly pretty fun, but I don't know how much time I'll have to actually like read more books to get you a decent. Like I have to read a fucking book a week just to get you a video like this once a week. So you know what I mean. Give you some more ideas if you can. I'll come up with some stuff too. This is fun to get my mind off things. Yeah. I love you. And I'll talk to you later. Bye. We're gonna do the transition. Bye.